Yeah, hi there, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. Now, I'm going to explain a metaphor, and I want to connect this to your TOEFL study. And my goal in this video is to help you understand the path, how you should study for the TOEFL. Okay, here's the saying. In American culture, we say, do not put the cart in front of the horse. Let me write it up here for you. This is the saying here. So do not put the cart in front of the horse. But the question is, what do I mean by that? What am I trying to say? So let me give you a demonstration. Okay, here, let's say this is kind of a wagon, right? So let's say that I'm the horse. So if I'm the horse, it's logical for the horse to be in front of the cart because the horse pulls the cart. You guys see what I'm saying? Now, it would not be logical if the horse gets behind the cart like this, because that's not how it works. The horse is pulling the cart, not pushing the cart. Now, what does this mean for your TOEFL study? Let me show you exactly what it means. Here, if you look at your TOEFL study, you have to look at the basics. So the basics means you need to focus really in the beginning of your study in terms of improving your English. You have to focus on vocabulary, and then you have pronunciation, and then grammar. Think about it for a minute. This is the foundation. I mean, how can you do well on reading, listening, writing, and speaking tasks if you don't have any vocabulary? You got to have vocabulary. So this becomes really before anything. You want to make sure you have good vocabulary. You need to be able to pronounce words clearly, because how can you do the 6 TOEFL speaking tasks if you cannot speak English clearly? So you must not forget the basics. The basics of your English become very, very important to help you get that higher TOEFL score. Also, grammar. Think about it. Grammar. It's putting the words together in your sentences. When you're speaking and you're writing, you have to have a good concept of the subject, verb, object, word order. You have to understand how to use prepositional phrases. You have to have good syntactic variety. You can't just use simple, short sentences all the time in your writing and your speaking tasks if you want to score higher. So my first message is, you must focus here, the vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar areas. Now, once you're very strong here and you feel like you have good vocabulary and you have good pronunciation and you have good grammar, then you can go to your next step. And this is where you get into your reading, listening, and then you have the speaking, and then the writing areas. So once you feel good about basics, then you have to start doing some good reading practice, some good listening practice, some good speaking, and also writing practice. This is also maybe your second step, right? Now, once you've done this, you get into this area. You get into the TOEFL skills and strategies. This is also important. Of course, you have to start learning about the reading section of the TOEFL, the listening section, the speaking and writing sections. You need to get familiar with the question types and the strategies for answering those kinds of questions. So this becomes also important. And finally, when you get to the top, right, you take maybe a TOEFL IBT full-length practice test right here. you do this before you take the TOEFL exam. A practice test here is maybe $35. Now, if your score on the practice test is satisfactory, which means it's equal or higher than the target score that you want, now it's ready to register, we'll say, for the TOEFL exam. So let's go over these steps. So I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4. There's maybe 5 different things you want to worry about. Now, a lot of students, they spend a lot of time. They skip the practice test thing. They get a TOEFL book. They study the skills and strategies. They take the TOEFL test. They don't pass. They go back to the TOEFL skills, but they're not really studying effectively. That's not going to help them overcome their problems. So this is the best advice I can give you today. Is really probably 80% of your time, 80% of your study should be spent focusing more on the basics and then improving your reading, listening, speaking, and writing skills overall. Both of these areas. This is where you want to spend most of your time in your TOEFL preparation. And then maybe 10% of your time can be spent understanding the TOEFL test, the structure, the skills and strategies, and then another 10% you can spend maybe taking practice tests to monitor your progress, to see your strengths and weaknesses. So again, remember, don't put the cart in front of the horse. If you follow these steps, this is going to help you, and it will prevent you from taking and retaking the TOEFL test over and over, because what you do is, once you get to step 4, if your practice test score is not as high as you need it to be, then you go back to steps 1 and 2 and you start with the basics again, and you do the reading, listening, speaking, and writing practice. And then if the practice test is higher, then that tells you you're ready to take the TOEFL test. So what I'm telling you is this: you don't need to take and retake the TOEFL over and over. It's too expensive. It's a waste of money. You're spinning your tires in the mud. That's not the best way to do it. Now, in the conclusion of this video, I'm going to tell you one thing. This, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My online course is called the 7-Step System to Pass a TOEFL IBT. I carefully designed this course to help students improve their English step by step, so they can get the English they need to reach the score that they deserve, and they do not have to take the TOEFL over and over. And there you go. For more information, you can go to my website at onlinetoeflcourse.com.